There has been this enduring idea in our culture that the human being is made up of different and distinct parts: the head, the heart, and the body. Western Christians don't think this idea is complete. So what we do is we add another part to those three. We add the soul. There now, everything is good. A human being is made up of 4 parts, and the most important part is the spiritual part. But everything is not good. We've just built a house upon the sand of Platonic and Enlightenment beliefs. We simply added Christian icing to a pagan cake, and we called it blessed. This is just another example of how North American evangelicals do this same thing, with the icing, all the time. You want more? Just click the little dry bones icon at the bottom of your screen. The thing is that thinking about ourselves as being made up of a distinct heart, mind, body, and soul is not biblical. Maybe you're thinking, well, what about that bit in Deuteronomy, where it says that the people of God are to love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength? And again in Luke 10:27, where Jesus quotes the Deuteronomy verse, and he adds, with all your mind. That leaves us with heart, soul, mind, and body, doesn't it? We must remember that that passage in Deuteronomy was written in Hebrew. So the Bible doesn't say heart, soul, and strength. It says lev, nephesh, and me'od. These words are translated heart, soul, and strength. And then we take our Greco-Enlightenment understanding of those words and misunderstand what the Bible is saying. And what the Bible really says is quite fascinating. So let's look at these words one at a time and try to understand what they meant to their original audience. The Hebrew word for heart is lev. The term lev means heart if we are talking about the blood-pumping organ in our chest. But in every other use of the term, the word lev means something a lot closer to mind. And this includes also our will or our intent and thoughtful consideration. Didn't see that coming, eh? So in Psalm 26, verse 2, we find this: "Examine me, O Lord, test me, refine my heart and my mind." The psalmist uses the word lev, and the translators correctly translate it here into mind. So you may ask, if lev is mind, what word is translated into heart in this verse? Kilyot. It means kidneys. So the verse actually says, "Examine me, O Lord, test me, refine my kidneys and my mind." Why kidneys? That's weird. Well, we chose a random organ to represent the seat of our emotions. The Hebrews picked a different one. Different cultures and contexts, different organ. You need to know that the job of translation is not just to translate words directly, but ideas, and this is a great example. The important thing for our purposes here is that when you read the word heart in the Bible, we are not to think about it as a discrete element that is pointing us to just our emotions. It's the place where thinking happens and where feelings happen. And it's also where our will lives. It's where we make choices. And it's also the physical thing that pumps blood and keeps us alive. So the heart sort of does it all. So to love God with all your heart is about a lot more than with your feelings. Thanks, Plato. It kind of seems like if we are loving the Lord with all our heart, we are pretty much loving Him with everything. We're totally loving Him. What else is there left for the soul? When we think of the word soul, we think of this intangible essence that maybe glows a little, especially when we sing or are involved in some transcendent religious experience. And it's the part that floats away from our bodies and goes up to heaven when we die, right? This whole notion of the soul is a Greek thing. It's not a Bible thing. The word for soul in Deuteronomy 6 verse 5 is nephesh. The meaning of nephesh is pretty hard to nail down. It can refer to a living being, a creature, or a person, and its life. It's associated with the throat and with breathing. It can also be about the mind or heart and its desires, or the appetites that drive us. If you think about it though, this whole blend of things are related to life and being. So it's different than the heart, which is about thinking and feeling. So that's a lot. But a lot of this stuff comes out of our physicality. Isn't it interesting that the word that is translated into soul is the most physical of the three? Take that, Plato. Love the Lord with all your heart, soul, and strength. I was taught in Sunday school that strength meant body, and that makes sense on the surface of it. The word me'od is found about 300 times in the Bible, and it's not usually translated as strength. Here are some other ways that it's translated. About half the time, ma'od is translated as very or much. So it doesn't mean strength in and of itself, but it strengthens or intensifies other words. Here's just one out of those 300 examples. When God paused to look at what he had made at the end of day 6, he said that the creation was ma'od good. So when we are told to love the Lord with all our strength, we are being called to love him with all our muchness. It's pretty clear that the biblical authors and audience did not think about the heart and the soul and the body as 3 discrete things. The Hebrew words overlap and stretch into all kinds of different directions. So to love the Lord with all your heart and soul and strength really means we are to love God with our physical bodies and our emotions and our minds and our wills, our lev, and with our life and being and individuality, our nephesh. We are to love God with all of that and our everything else ramped up to the muchness of ma'od. Don't you think that the Hebrew understanding of this phrase is much better than the Greek-based modern one? I do. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.